Good morning, everyone, and to all my virtual friends, good afternoon, very early good morning, whatever it is. Nice being here and lovely weather, and I think it's always great to be here in Dublin. We have a booth in the technology lounge, and today in this session, I'm just going to talk about some key things from the learnings that we generally come across. When we go ahead and help our clients in their BIM implementation or technology adoption process. Unfortunately, my colleague is not here today due to logistics issues, and I'm going to be presenting this all alone. So we picked this topic called 4 Cs, and they could be 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 Cs. But then when we look at what are those most important four things that we should be really looking at when any organization is trying to look at going about implementing BIM in their organization and creating a technology roadmap for them. Initially, we thought we were very relevant to India, but then as I started speaking to a lot of my clients in US, Australia, some here in Ireland, and then in UK and some part of the Europe, I realized that I think we are talking ahead. The practicality of the implementation is following, and the sinking in of the technology in terms of the real the adoption level, it's taking its own time in terms of getting the results or the ROI to the right market. I'll just sum up some of the things, like probably one of the reasons are digital disruptions as well. I mean, we have started seeing these disruptions since mid 90s, and it started affecting, started with music. You've seen data kind of democratizing or probably creating a different disruptions in the retail market. And post 2020, we're seeing the digital disruption probably penetrating every single sectors, and construction is not left behind at all. And when you look at what we went through in the 2020, the COVID timeframe and all, it acted as a booster in terms of making sure that the digital adoption and the realization that how important it is to collaborate digitally, actually that realization was quite high, and it has helped us. There are different technologies which are enabling these disruptions, and when we talk about BIM, it's essentially weaving information around different processes. But then there are different technologies, whether it is aerial captures, advancement in lidar, we're talking about big data and AI, VR, 3D printing. They are all linked. It's not isolation, or you cannot look at BIM or a technology deployment in isolation. Somewhere or the other, it is directly linked with different technologies, which is being perceived and consumed by the stakeholders in different processes. And we have to smartly see how we can connect the information, how we can ensure that people are able to use the information from one process to another, and create a well and very established, efficient workflow. This is what exactly I was talking about. I mean, on one side, we have a demand increasing. Housing demand is there across. We're talking about creating houses in days, not months. And when you look at the digital penetrations, the McKinsey index shows about construction and agriculture being one of the lowest in terms of the adoption level or in terms of the digitization level. And there's another report from the Boston Consulting Group which says that the promising saving. Now, I won't go with the numbers because sometimes it sets wrong expectations. But then we are talking about double-digit savings when somebody actually move on to from an environment where they're not doing anything on the BIM, and they started deploying everything on the BIM part of it. So there is definitely a saving which is now kind of an indirect contribution to the profits, and that's creating more of a push, or you can say an acceleration process to go and adopt it. I won't get much into the details of this, but most of the time people come and talk about the ultimate realized. Like, a few weeks back I was in India talking about digital twin. We recently published one of the policies related to digital twin and the strategy for that. Now, digital twin is, the day you start realizing the benefit, it's a transformed version, but there is a lot of effort that goes in the beginning in terms of creating a digitized environment, digitizing a lot of content, creating processes around that. And then after that painful process, you start getting the results of a truly connected, simulated data environment that helps you in terms of transforming your decision making. I think this is everybody will know here, so I won't get into the definition of it. I'll just say, BIM is all about creating efficient project delivery process, leveraging different digital technologies. This is important. most of the time when I go and talk to my owner clients, developer clients, sometimes AE firms, they talk about, how do I get benefit from the BIM? Because when we are talking about implementing BIM, we are talking about increasing our cost related to softwares, related to manpower, related to, workflows. Now, how do I really get benefit from it? Now, these are the four things that we've identified in terms of, a typical transition, starting with how do you build, reusable data. In the design process, construction process, manufacturing process, the more reusable data you are using, it's not just the digital optimization, because the more of your reusable data is also going to optimize the real workflow and the production process. So it's totally linked. The second one is elimination of human intervention, whether it is capturing survey drawings, whether it is as-built markups, wherever you have a human intervention, can we remove that from the process? Third is bringing more transparency. The more you have a transparency in the process, I think the collaboration is better. People are able to communicate with each other. We don't have silos in the project. Ultimately, when you have all these three in place, the last part is now you're sitting on a rich bank of data. And that's where you analyze the data, and the decision making, which is essentially the data-driven decision making process, starts. We are mostly vendor neutral, so I don't want to promote any kind of a technology here. We live and work with different technologies. Yeah, I have seen, a lot of, sometimes individuals, companies talking about, we are mature in BIM, or we've done so many things in BIM. And honestly speaking, doing this for last close to 2 decades right now, this is a never-ending process. You set a bar for your organization that, okay, fine, this is what I want to achieve. By the time you reach there, something else would be there. So the mindset should be in terms of making sure that it's going to be a never-ending process of learning, implementing, failing, again learning, implementing, failing. And this is the most important, acceptance, I would say, that one need to bring when it comes to BIM implementation. Alan, how much time do I have? Oh, that's enough. Okay. Yeah, so I will just sum up. I think then I leave the time, probably if we have to discuss any questions and things like that. The 4 C's, the number one is clarity. Now, clarity is important. And I'll give some real examples. Like, I was talking to a GC, general contractor, who wanted to build up a digital content or a BIM model for his production process. And the guy was quite tech savvy. He came up and he says, no, I want to see every single nut, bolt, and every detail into the model. And that was how he was scoping the BIM for himself. It was a time-consuming process. At the same time, by having an expectation on the model which is not aligned with your contractual expectations, because he was going to have subs for him who were supposed to develop the content, develop the models. And when you take up those accountability of taking and creating content for somebody else, you end up somewhere interfering and tweaking with the workflows, with the contractual liabilities. And it is very important that sometimes the digital illiteracy, or probably not having a good awareness about the BIM, should not create an environment where you are violating the project contracts environment. So it's very important to have that fundamental clarity why you want to do that. If you are an architect, why do you want to implement it? What is the fundamental purpose? What do you want to achieve out of it? And is it in alignment with your contract? So these are the things which we have learned, and we have helped our client in terms of establishing that core clarity. It's not like, looking at somebody else, oh, wow, he's actually doing so much in BIM, let me also do it. So it will not fit in. It's not like a, one-size-fit-all kind of a proposition. You should have clarity and just adopt the strategy which is more relevant to you. This is more important. I think probably the most important, it should have been the number one, culture. We have seen, and in my experience, I've experienced culture in US, some pockets of Europe, India quite a bit. And an organization culture, I've seen, like, for example, if you go to an organization where the average age is 40 years, and if I go to an organization where the average age is 35 years, average age is 50 years, and I don't want to kind of, discriminate or probably demean people with the ages, but then I have seen the difference in the adoption level. And that adoption level difference comes with 2 factors in mind in terms of people who are involved, the stakeholder who are involved in the implementation process, how secured they are, how, is there any kind of insecurity driving their decisions? Have you taken care of that? At a management perspective, if we have not addressed this issue, with your champions, the 11 people, or probably if you have a football team, similarly you have a BIM team in your organization or a project who is supposed to deliver the results, and if you have not ensured the security part of it, the concerns that the people will have, why they should collaborate without fear, that is very important. And that's where the organization culture plays a very strong role. And this is one single most powerful factor that can change the time of implementation. Sometimes just because of the culture factor, I've seen in large organizations the implementation program moving from months to years. And similarly, in agile organizations, I've seen this moving from probably years to few months. Now, that is the power of culture. Yeah, I think we don't talk much about it, but then this is the most important thing. I was just having a conversation in London early this week, and with one of our architecture friend, and he says, Sunil, we are invested. We like to do BIM. I can create my content, but my structural and MEP engineer, they are not able to kind of give me BIM and give me the content. Now, what should I do? This is a global phenomenon where if you see the bit of a discrimination in the way the fee structures are organized between the architects and the engineering community, there is a difference there. And this is beautiful, it exists across. So, we sometimes say architects are superior breed and engineers are maybe a little less. But I hope that discrimination will probably, discontinue at some point of time. But then the cost related to manpower, the cost related to what kind of tools you're investing. There was a developer who wanted to kind of implement BIM, and at some point of time, he bought an authoring tool for the entire of an estimation team. Now, he landed up in a big issue. So it's very important that when you want to incur cost related to technology implementation, you have to be very sure that are you investing in the right thing? Are you investing in things that is not, disrupting your existing business workflows, disrupting your contract workflows? That's very important. The last one is cloud, and you will see that there's so many technology and why I have picked cloud. Whatever we are talking about today, when it comes to BIM, 3D modeling, data management, document management, I think if you go and look at the aerospace and the manufacturing industry, this exists for last 20 years or more than that, last 30 years maybe. What has changed? So construction and infrastructure is a very fragmented industry with stakeholders probably working from diversified location. A lot of the industry is actually accumulated out of SMEs, small, mediums, and medium organization. Now, how do you bring all of them to collaborate in one place? Today, if you remove cloud from the whole scene and think about BIM in the construction and infra scenario, you will find that it is going to be so meaningless. This is one technology where any organization who is actually implementing BIM must think how you are leveraging cloud in your workflow to enhance collaboration, communication, design collaboration, rendering, anything. If you don't have this particular technology integrated as an embedded part of your business, then you will have kind of issues with your implementation program. So summing up again, clarity, culture, cost, and cloud. Yeah, thank you so much. I think that's where I just want to kind of sum up my presentation.